All right, everybody, welcome back to another top buy and top sell video here in the A1 Edge Finder. We are, of course, going to look over our strongest buy and our strongest sell at the moment in the Edge Finder. But before we get to that, we want to look at two really fun things really quickly: the Smart Money Tracker as well as retail sentiment. And if you're unfamiliar with Smart Money Tracker, what COT report data is, or just unfamiliar with the Edge Finder in general, the COT report data is what smart money traders or institutional traders, their positions long or short on each of these individual assets that we track here in the Edge Finder. So like hedge fund guys and big money market guys release, what they're going long and what they're going short on, their specific biases on each of these individual assets. And we compile that all together for you so that you can get an overall broad view of what these institutional traders are currently favored long and short on. So over here on the right, this is our most bullish side, and it's actually the JP225 at the moment. That is their most bullish asset. It's 80.74% long from them at the moment and 19.26% short, followed by oil, gold, and our first currency pair, or currency rather, is actually the euro. The euro is the most favored long currency from these institutional traders, currently 73.32% long and 26.68% short. Now, on the other hand, the most bearish asset is the Japanese yen, currently 85.61% short and 14.39% long from institutional traders. And then if we want to take a look, say, at the US dollar, the US dollar is actually the second most favored bullish currency, 69.04% long and 30.96% short there from institutional traders. We have all of that information down here in a numerical chart view for you, with the most bullish asset up here at the top and the most bearish asset down here at the bottom, where you can also see the total number of long contracts open, the total number of short contracts open, the changes long and short since the last data release, and of course the percentage long and short.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Edge Finder. Happy birthday to you.
On each of these assets here. So quick look at the Smart Money Tracker. I think it's super useful and super interesting to keep up with what those institutional traders are going long and short on, but we can also check retail sentiment. And again, if you're unfamiliar with retail sentiment, retail positioning, this is what day traders, the crowd, people like you and me, what they are going long and short on currently. We can actually get access to that information as well and see a broad view of what the overall market is going long and short on at the moment. And so first off, we're looking at our major currency pairs. These are US dollar pairs right here. And the most long US dollar pair at the moment is USDCHF, currently 96% long and 4% short, whereas Euro USD is the most shorted US dollar pair, 90% short here and only 10% long. We can also take a look at our minor currency pairs only. So if I click that, we will switch over to minor currency pairs, and here is the rest of our currency pairs listed in the Edge Finder. CAD CHF is our most long minor currency pair, 97% long and 3% short there. And we have a tie, CHF JPY and USD ZAR. These are our most shorted currency pairs from day traders, currently 94% short and 6% long on both of those right there. But let's head back on into the watch list, and we actually have a really surprising list today. I have not seen this in my time using the Edge Finder. I have not seen a list look like this before. If I remove these neutral biases here, we have just two sells currently listed in the Edge Finder. I'm also going to remove any indices or commodities that we might have, because we just want to focus on currency pairs for a second. And there we go. We have a nice list of buys actually, with two strong buys, USD ZAR and CHF JPY, but then only two sells at the moment, CAD CHF and NZDCHF. So I suppose we're going to take a look at NZDCHF because it is technically our strongest sell at the moment with that score of -5. And then USD ZAR and CHF JPY are our two strong buys. USD ZAR does have a stronger score with this score of +8, but based on recent dollar news. If you keep up with CPI reports and PPI reports, the past 2 days, the dollar has lost a lot of that momentum. So I think I'm going to pass on USD/ZAR at the moment because, again, it's important to look at the charts, the actual charts, and compare them to all of the other amazing information that the Edge Finder has inside of it. But yeah, if you actually pay attention to CPI and PPI reports that came out over the past couple of days, the US dollar has lost a lot of momentum. So USD/ZAR could be a nice strong buy potential here in the long term, but right now I think CHF JPY looks like the better option, so we're going to pair that along with NZD CHF here. And you know what, why don't we start off with NZD CHF really quickly. So we're going to take a look at that one first. Here we are, NZD CHF breakdown page. Like I mentioned, it has that strong, or not, I'm sorry, not a strong sell bias, just a normal sell bias of a score of -5. COT data here is a score of +1, and retail sentiment a score of -1. We can get into those numbers right over here. So the reason we're getting that +1 score for COT data is because those institutional traders that we were talking about earlier really aren't favored one way or the other when it comes to the New Zealand dollar. You could say that yes, they do have a slight preference on the short side for the New Zealand dollar, but it's too close for to 50-50 for us to really score it. On the other hand, the Swiss franc here, CHF, is heavily favored short from those institutional traders, 78.75% short. There's no question that they are short bias on the Swiss franc at the moment, and that is why it is just getting that +1 score there. Now, retail sentiment, on the other hand, 89% long here and 11% short from the day traders, and it's getting that -1 score because, unfortunately, more often than not, the crowd is often wrong in a lot of instances. So we actually score that negatively or inversely to whatever the crowd is doing. Seasonality is a score of -1. And we can see here that for the month of April, historically speaking, if you isolated the month of April over the last 10 years to see how NZD CHF trended specifically just in the month of April, you would notice that it is just a little bit bearish, just slightly bearish historically speaking throughout the month of April. Our trend reading is a score of -2, and look at this, guys. That is a strong downward move there. I mean, we had a little bit of consolidation here for a couple of days, but absolutely broke through that and is continuing this onward move to the downside. Price forecast also is projecting that that continues to be the case. We can finish up here really quickly with our fundamentals: GDP growth, inflation, and unemployment, all scores of -1. Interest rates, on the other hand, a score of +1. Let's take a look at those numbers right over here. So New Zealand GDP growth negative 0.6% at the moment, compared to Swiss just 0% GDP growth. Inflation in New Zealand 7.2% compared to 2.9%. Unemployment 3.4% compared to 2%. And lastly, interest rates on the New Zealand dollar currently 5.25% compared to 1.5% on the Swiss franc. So there we go. That is a breakdown of all of the data, giving the NZD CHF this sell bias and that score of -5. But the other pair we said we were going to take a look at was CHF JPY. CHF JPY, on the other hand, is a strong bias. We have a strong buy bias here with that score of +7. COT data is actually a score of 0, and retail sentiment a score of +1. Let's take a look at those numbers right over here. So the reason that we are getting that 0 score for institutional trader data, COT data here, is because institutional traders are both heavily favored short on the yen and the Swiss franc individually, not paired together, but individually short long term on the yen and the Swiss franc at the moment. Retail traders, on the other hand, are favored short on CHF JPY as a whole, 94% short, 6% long there. You might remember that that was actually tied for our most shorted pair from day traders. And again, we tend to score that inversely from what the crowd is doing, giving that a +1 score there. Seasonality is a score of +1 as well. And we can see here again in the month of April, historically speaking, over the last 10 years, CHF JPY tends to perform bullishly in the month of April, and so far that has absolutely been the case. Our trend reading is a score of +2, and again, we have such a nice trend here, guys. Look at this thing just continuing to make moves to the upside. Price forecast projecting that that continues to be the case, and fundamentally speaking here, looking pretty bullish as well. GDP growth is actually a neutral score, but inflation, unemployment, and interest rates all scores of +1. We can get into those numbers right here. The yen and the Swiss franc both have GDP growth scores of 0%. Inflation in Japan currently 3.3% compared to 2.9% in Switzerland. Unemployment in Japan 2.6% compared to 2% unemployment in Switzerland. And lastly, interest rates on the Japanese yen negative 0.1% compared to 1.5% on the Swiss franc. So there we go. Quick breakdown for you guys of all of the data associated with the Swiss yen pair. Currently a strong buy by a score of +7. And remember, guys, if you want the Edge Finder for yourself, access to all of this amazing information that we just looked at, plus so much more. There is so much more stuff listed here that we did not cover. I mean, this thing is an amazing trading tool to help you find better entries in your trading. If you want it for 40% off right now, but only for a limited time, you can use promo code A1YT. Again, promo code A1YT for a 40% off discount on the Edge Finder right now. Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want our broker recommendation, access to our free Discord, free Edge Finder, or want to chat with us on Telegram. Remember, you can watch us live in the markets every morning starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have lots more free trading tools and content available on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching.